Hey, it's Karl again. Just wanted to go ahead and give you today's message. Today's message is very simple. Basically, what we're going to talk about today is 8 different techniques that you can use to go ahead and control your attitude. It really is true what Zig Ziglar had said. He said that your attitude controls your altitude. And the fact is that when you start controlling your attitude, you'll be able to take your business a whole lot farther than you ever thought you could. But the key is trying to find ways to keep that attitude, keep that mental control, keep that mental, strength that you're going to need in this business to go ahead and be successful. So let's talk about that today. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll say the 8 techniques for mental. You could call it toughness. You could call it controlling your attitude. We'll just say mental or controlling your attitude. Okay? Okay, so the first one is pretty simple. Basically what it's called is you see what you get. You see what you get. And when you start thinking about the things that you want to accomplish, when you start thinking about the places you want to go, things you want to see, things you want to do, be, or have, when you start thinking about that and seeing it in your mind, that's when those things start to come to pass. Now, a good example is this, that Olympic ski jumpers, for example, they do a lot of times, spend a lot of time doing what's called visualizations. And in that visualizations, each time they imagine them going down the ski slope and then eventually going ahead and making their jump and what their body's going to look like and all the different things they're going to need to do to make that ski jump successful, okay? So they do this all the time. Now, the question is, if it works for them, why do they do it? Well, it's no different than when you think about biting into a lemon. You close your eyes. You probably had this game before. You close your eyes. You think about biting into a lemon. Your body starts producing extra saliva. You can kind of feel the sourness. The fact is your mind does not know the difference between reality and your thoughts, okay? So the more you think about things, the more your brain will come accustomed to that and help you get the things you need to get to make those dreams a reality, okay? It makes them together. They're congruent, okay, those ideas from what you're acting like versus what you want. If you're thinking about what you want all the time, your mind, your body, your subconscious will direct you to do the things you need to do to make your subconscious a reality, okay? So you see what you get. The next one is work hard. Work hard. We could probably stop right there and spend a lot of time on that subject. I won't, because I know that that's sort of not a very popular subject with people. But when you start working hard, you don't have a whole lot of time for thinking about all the bad things. If you're having a crappy deal, if things are going south, if things are going terrible, you're making call after call after call, and nobody's talking to you. If you're going and holding open houses, for example, and nobody's showing up, you've stopped and you've taken a look at the way you're doing things and you realize you're doing it the way you're supposed to do it, and it's not working. I mean, you've been there. You're working, but it's not working. Then really what you got to do is you got to focus on first, make sure that what you're doing is correct. If you're on the phone, make sure the script you're using is correct. Make sure you've got a great voice inflection. Make sure that you're calling the right people. But then eventually go ahead and make sure that you're working hard. Okay? Play hard. The other thing that you want to do is play hard. When you're at work, work. Okay? When you're off, be off. All right? Don't let your business take over your personal life. We have a really bad habit. Real estate is great for this. Real estate agents have a very high rate of divorce. And the reason why is because we can't separate from our work life and our play life, okay? It's real hard. I know. to stop taking that phone call at 6 o'clock when you're having dinner with your family. You're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, I got to take this call. It could be that buyer. Hey, guess what? Okay, you don't want to forget the people around the table with you. So when you're here at work, work, all right? You'll feel good when you take that time off because you know you spent the time, okay? Next, enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. And all enthusiasm really is the enthusiasm, if you were to take it and break it down into the words, it really means the life force coming out, okay? Enthusia is the life force coming out. So the fact is that if you want your life to get better, you got to at least fake it. You know, if you're not feeling so good, you got little money in the bank account, things are going crappy. Hey, I've got it myself. I've been there. I know exactly what that's all about. You can't let other people know about that. You've got to be enthusiastic. You've got to try. And even if it means you got to fake it a little bit, then that's okay. Because if you fake it, you're familiar with that phrase, fake it till you make it, right? The enthusiasm that you portray, think about it. If you're going on a listing presentation or a showing presentation and you're kind of down in the dumps and things are really crappy, you probably don't want to sell your home, do you? Or, you know, this house, I don't know if it's going to work for you or whatever, then it's guaranteed. You will not get that sale. That's a 100% guarantee. If, on the other hand, you're enthusiastic about it, you're happy about what you're doing, you enjoy it, even if you're not, you're just pretending to be it, right? You've got a much better chance of getting this deal done simply because they believe that you're into it. Remember, people have to believe in you before they will believe in themselves. They have to believe in what you're saying before they will believe enough to act. And if you act like you don't know what the heck you're doing, or if you act like you're scared, if you act like you're unsure, they are not going to make a motion to try and help themselves. And so you really got to do that yourself. Next. Is adversity, okay? Adversity breeds success. You're having a tough time, okay? Excuse me, in this market, I know that some of you are having a really tough time, and that's okay. Because remember, it's the adversity that breeds success. It helps you think about things in a new way. Maybe you're accustomed, like me, for example, maybe you're accustomed to go ahead and doing business a certain way. You've always called, you've always prospected, you've always done your listing presentations a certain way. You've always gone after for sale owners and expireds. But then the market changes a little bit. And you find that there's more REO property and there's more short sale property. And maybe you need to change your focus into something else, which is what I did. And it's worked out very well for me. I had some really good friends who helped me out. And they said, hey, Karl, guess what? Maybe you need to branch out and form a team. Okay, maybe I need to look at that. So what I ended up doing is I changed the way I was doing my business. Doesn't mean the way I was doing it before was wrong. I just added to it, okay? Because I was having a tough time, but because of that tough time, it caused me to think about a new way of doing things, or maybe at least adding to doing things. And now I'm being a lot better off, a lot more successful than I used to be. And the fact is that adversity happens, okay? But you have to take a minute to stop and look at the reason why. Why am I having this problem, okay? The fact is that if you can see the reason why you're having problems, okay, maybe you're not prospecting enough. Maybe you're not talking to enough people, okay? Maybe you're not making enough presentations. Maybe you're overpricing your homes. Maybe the people that you're showing homes to aren't qualified. If you're able to determine the reason why you're having problems, then you can correct it and be a lot stronger and a lot more successful. So remember, adversity breeds success. Next, thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. If you've not read it, okay, then I would go ahead and recommend that you read a certain book. His name was Napoleon Hill, okay, and it was called Think and Grow Rich. Now, it was written in the 30s. The language is a little bit tough, but they do have revised versions that are a little bit more modern age, modern language patterns, and it's a little bit easier to read. But the fact is that Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill has been undoubtedly one of the best books ever written on the secret and the science of getting rich. The fact is that thoughts, he said, are things. If you can imagine this, that whatever the mind of man can achieve and believe, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That's what he was simply saying here. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now, if you have trouble accepting that, and you think that that's sort of an esoteric kind of, weird way, new age way of thinking of things, then think about it this way. What would cause two ordinary guys who are sane to say, you know what, I got a great idea. Let's go ahead and take some wood wings and let's jump off a hill and see what happens. Okay? Well, the Wright brothers did it, perfectly sane, and found out a way to fly. So you say to me, okay, well, look, thoughts are things. Well, that's all great. So are you simply saying that, if I think about things, it's going to come to me? No, I'm not saying that at all. That's not the secret type of thing, okay? But what I am saying is this, that there are certain laws in this world, okay, that you cannot avoid, all right? There are natural laws. One of the natural laws, obviously, is gravity, okay? Now, I don't care who you are, all right? You can think to yourself all day long, I am light as a feather and I can fly, okay? Chances are you're not going to be able to avoid the law of gravity, okay? Because although thoughts are things, they are also subject to certain natural laws. However, if this is the case, if that's a natural law, then how is it then, when you look in the sky, you see a plane flying? If gravity is a natural law that cannot be changed, then why is it that you can take a plane that weighs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds and fly? It's because it also is subject to another law, and that is the law of lift. Take force, apply it over a wing, that creates lift, which causes the plane to rise. Or you take the elevators on the back, cause it to go down, control the airplane that way because it's subject to the gravity law, but that gravity law is also subject to another law, which is the law of lift. Okay? Now what I'm telling you here in thoughts are things are simply nothing more than the law, okay, of attraction. Now, the law of attraction, and we can go into that another time, but I'm not going to, again, try to get too esoteric about this. But the law of attraction simply says that the world around you, okay, is a mirror of what you put out. So think about this. If you come out of your office and you're scowling and you're mean and you don't say anything to anybody, okay, you're rough, you're tough, then you're going to have people giving that back to you, okay? That's the law of attraction in effect, all right? You can put out terrible thoughts and how awful the world is, and that's the way you're going to see things, and that is the way things will come to you. If, on the other hand, you're enthusiastic about life, okay, and you see the good in things, you're going to be smiling to people and be happy as best as you can, then you'll find also that those things come back to you. Now you ask yourself, well, wait a minute, I didn't ask for, say, cancer or a broken bone or whatever. I didn't ask for that. I get it, okay? Life happens in those ways, and some things you can't change, okay? But as far as business is concerned, okay, the law of attraction is certainly a big part, but the law of attraction itself is even subject to itself, like gravity is to law of lift. The law of attraction is subject to something else, which is simply the law of action. Okay? The law of action. You can want something all you want. You can sit in your house and think about it and meditate about it all day long, okay? But if you don't take any action at all, it will never amount to anything, Okay, so it will never happen for you. All right? So keep in mind that thoughts are things. The more you think about things, then the greater your chances of getting those things back, coming back to you. Okay? Next. The next technique, this is, I think, number 5. Should be number 5. Hearing is believing. Okay? Hearing is believing. Okay. So imagine this. There are children in this world today. Okay? And you know this. I don't have to preach to you. Naturally, you know this. Okay? Children today whose parents tell them that they're no good, that they're awful, that they're terrible kids, they'll never be smart, they're never going to achieve anything in life, that's their lot in life, whatever, okay? And they hear this. Is it any wonder that a lot of those kids actually grow up to feel that they never can achieve anything? Is it any wonder why they can feel like they are no good? Why they may get into crime, why it is that they're trapped by their circumstances. Now, it certainly doesn't mean that you're automatically confined to that. But what it does mean is simply this, that most people, if they hear something over and over and over, then they're going to believe it. So, how does this apply to your practical life? How does this apply to your mental, toughness, controlling your attitude? How does that apply? Well, think about it. If you watch the news, okay, which is a great place for information, and they tell you every day how the market is horrible, how foreclosures are this, and nobody's selling, and you come in your office and you're sitting around having some coffee, and everybody's saying, oh, my deal fell through, and things are terrible, and what the market's doing, or whatever. Stop for just a minute and take a look at the reality of it, okay? When you look at the reality of it, okay, over 90% of homes in America today are current with their mortgages. In Tucson alone, over 1,200 homes sold last month. I mean, you only want 2 or 3 of them. And when you think about it, 1,200 buyers, there's 1,200 sellers. So amongst those two, there's 2,400 people who made a decision to either buy or sell this last month and made it happen. And it's not like I want all 2,400. I just want a couple. Okay? You can do the same thing. But remember, hearing is believing. So be careful what you let come into your head. All right? Next, other people's influence. Other people's influence. It is true that you must control who it is that's around you. Okay? If you are around people, okay, who are negative and see nothing but bad, then that's going to control your outlook on life, okay? If, on the other hand, you're hanging around people who are positive about things, who think that it will get better, how they're seeing the bright side in things, how they're trying to go ahead and do what they can to make their life better. If you're hanging around people who are doing more business than you, okay, they're going to teach you things, and that will help you get better. Believe it or not, the top producers will spend a little bit of time with you as long as you're respectful of it. They'll spend a little bit of time with you. But don't go in there and waste their time with inane questions, okay? Don't go into the top producer's office and ask them how to fill out a contract. That's something you should know, all right? If you don't know, then you need to talk to somebody else because that top producer does not have time for that, all right? Now, if you want to go in there and say, hey, look, can I ask you a quick question, at a time that's convenient for you? How did you manage to, get, say, more listings? Or if you were a brand new agent, what would you have changed? Or what would you tell me, the one thing that you would tell me that would help me get my business on right? Okay? They will take the time to help you because they've been there before. They know how it is. Okay? If they won't help you, then okay, that's fine. But for the most part, they will. But as long as you're respectful of their time and don't waste it, okay, then they will help you and then you can go ahead and build your business. But remember that other people's influence is going to play a big part in controlling your attitude. So don't hang around people who are, negative or see the bad side in things, okay? And then, of course, last, you must have goals. you must have goals, okay? If you're going to go through this whole thing and you're going to say, well, look, I'm only going to do, whatever the business I can get. I hope I can get 10 deals. I hope I can do this. I hope I can do that. Okay, that's not going to happen for you. You must have very specific, clear, attainable goals. You can say to yourself, you know what, I want to do 50 deals this year, okay? And that's all great. But what is your plan to make that happen? Do you have the skills necessary to make that happen? Do you have the resources to make that happen? Do you have like the center of influence? Do you have the money to pay for things like systems or whatever? Do you have the knowledge of what it takes to handle that volume of business? Do you have the systems in place for like assistants or whatever? You're going to need to have a lot of things in place. So think about it this way. Your goals, okay, must be clear. They must be written, all right, so you can see it every day. And they have to have an action plan. A plan that you can say, okay, every day I need to do this, 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 and this to make my goal happen, okay? And then review your goal daily, weekly, probably no more than once a month, but probably at least once a week. Review it to make sure that you're on track, okay? So hopefully this has been some value to you. If it has been, then feel free to go ahead and rate it down at the bottom, like it, and that will help us out a lot. And then, of course, subscribe if you're already not a subscriber, and tell your friends about us. And so we do appreciate everything that you've done for us sitting through these videos, and hopefully that'll help you sell a lot more houses. Anyway, you have a wonderful day, and from everybody here at Tucson Real Executives, Tucson Elite, and all the board members, we hope that you're going to make it a powerful day. Take care.